Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to the EKN Debrief, our podcast, post-race podcast that covers the event we just were at for our trackside coverage. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, and we are recording episode 130. So a lot of episodes that we've had since we started podcasting back in 2017. And the debrief was the basis of that podcast show or the podcast program and our EKN radio network. So great to see us at 130 shows. And what a way to do it, because the United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix was an amazing event, amazing weekend that thankfully dodged rain and was able to get all the way through with some exciting racing and intense racing that was going on at the Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. So let's begin with our presenter of this show, Sodi Racing USA. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is Sodi Kart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Thierry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodi Kart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. Visit sodi-racing-usa.com to learn more about the Sodi Kart chassis, or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. Nate, your second USPKS event of the year, both of us actually, May 17th through the 19th at the Trackhouse Motorplex in Race City, USA. Round 2 of the 5-event championship program. The weather certainly was warm and humid, was it not?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was better than rainy and wet and damp. It was a little wet and sometimes treacherous in morning warm up for some classes. But like you said, for the on track, when we were on track, at least it stayed dry, thankfully, where at the start of the days and the end of the days, we got a little bit scared with the clouds looming over the circuit. But yeah, just grateful that it stayed dry throughout the weekend and really produced some great racing that USPKS and the Trackhouse combination always does when we go to Mooresville.
Yeah, lots of rain leading into the weekend, and then we had rain Friday and Saturday evening. Thankfully, as you said, no wet sessions throughout the weekend. I think one warm-up might have been a little bit damp, but other than that, the racetrack was dry, but the surrounding area was Carolina mud all over the place. It certainly presented troubles for parking for all the vehicles in attending the event. As we know, when that area does get wet, it produces a lot of mud. So really, that was the only issues that we had in terms of weather. Again, making the 12th visit in the 12th season of the United States Pro Kart Series. Again, Mooresville, the unofficial home of the United States Pro Kart Series, where everything began back in 2013. As we go into by the numbers, again, not only 7 less entries at Trackhouse than what we had at Speed Sports to open up the 2024 season. And so, which is really good. And we knew we were going to get that. I believe the entries were at 250 when we began our show for the Outlap previewing the weekend. So I know they had a number of cancellations, but there was a number of walk-ups as well too. So it was great to see that. I think the highlight in terms of increasing numbers was X30 Junior going from 19 to 32 drivers. So an amazing bump in what we considered one of the classes to kind of be on the cusp of what do we do with it? Well, 32 entries. If we can keep it at that, X30 Junior is here to stay, Nate. That's a pretty good number for that.
Yeah, it was good to see this class grow from what we've seen at Speed Sports and pretty much the latter half of the season. for 2023 across really all series. X30 Junior not doing too hot in terms of numbers, but to have 32 drivers there that really put on a show throughout a weekend. It was definitely one of the classes to watch, but like you said, a number of cancellations, so not meeting the same number that we did at Speed Sports there. One of the classes that fell off, K100 Masters, going from 15 at Speed Sports only down to 8 for Trackhouse, so a little unfortunate there, but not too much fluctuations between the rest of the classes. Some gained a couple, some lost a couple, but apart from KA Master losing a few there, and then X30 Junior being a huge gainer going from 19 to 32. Not a lot of, like I said, fluctuations between the rest of the classes.
Yeah, it's good to see K100 Junior only dropped 1 to 66. K100 Senior had 52, so it's a drop of 9. And because of the increase, what they were going to do for Trackhouse, they increased it to 47 drivers that were going to transfer to the main. They decided, and then 3 from the B main, they decided to run it all. So all 52 drivers were in the main event on Sunday. So that eliminated one of the B mains for Sunday morning. Micro and mini staying very similar to what they were at 40 and 32. X30 Pro getting a bump up to 25. But yeah, the K100 Master, that's the one where we saw a kind of a big drop going from 15 to 8. A lot of it has to do with the timing. The month of May, I know we just had one in our school district here yesterday. Graduations happening, high school graduations happening all over the country. So that when you're looking at K100 Masters, that's dads. So that's going to take up probably a few entries here and there. But I think when we go to Badger, we're going to get a good influx. I hope so, of local drivers. They do have that Tag Master Championship program up there. So I'm hoping that we'll get a bump up in terms of numbers for K100 Masters when we do head up to Millwright Raceway next month. Any other notes you had in looking at the numbers, or just kind of the overall of the event, Nate, before we head into our next commercial break?
Yeah, I mean, you went through the numbers pretty thoroughly there. Not too much to add on top of that, really. Adding on to what you have to say about Millwright, I think the first race that when we really get into the summer months and there's not a whole lot of obstructions for people when it comes to school and graduations and grad parties and whatnot, I think we should see a bit of an influx. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the biggest event of the 3 thus far. The Wisconsin and Midwest contingent always come out in full force when they ever have a race in their neck of the woods. So I should be looking forward to Dousman and hopefully seeing a big influx of drivers for the first time the series goes back there in quite some time.
Exactly that. So with that, we'll head into our first commercial break, and when we return, we'll hit into the Paddock Pass presented by OTK USA.
In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. We offer trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group is an official Kart Republic race team, providing full trackside support at all the major USA karting events, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, the SCUSA Super Nationals, and other events throughout the season. TKG has Kart Republic, IAME, MG Novinco tires, and more products in stock for those in Ohio and the Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. As the winningest Briggs 206 team in the United States in 2023, Precision Performance Karting wants to get you to victory lane in 2024. As the factory team for Coyote Motorsports, Precision Performance Karting won the biggest four-cycle races of the year, including Senior Light, Medium, and Heavy at the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals 7, and winning an iconic Duffy at the IKF Sprint Grand Nationals in Texas. We also traveled north of the border to dominate the Cup Karts Canada finale in Goodwood, beating Canada's best Briggs racers. Our total focus is on winning, and we simply get the job done. Join our team, and we can help you win too. We have several levels of support available for 2024, from full-service arrive and drive programs to tent-only options. Our championship-winning PPK-prepared Coyote Zenith karts are ready to power you to great results. Join our team today. To become a PPK driver or to learn more, contact John Seglum at ppkartingfl@gmail.com or check us out online at ppkkartingfl.com. A leading name in high-performance engines is D2 Motors. Owned and operated by karting champion Danilo Ramalho, D2 Motors can power you to the top of the podium. D2 Motors has been servicing karters in North America since 2019 and is opening its doors to teams and drivers across the national and local racing circuits. D2 Motors is offering access to superior engine technology designed to elevate performance on the track. There is no engine platform that D2 Motors has not excelled at. They are a leading Rotax service center, along with developing championship-winning power for the IAME and ROC brands. If you are seeking a competitive edge and reliability, partner with D2 Motors today. Call 954-895-6334 or visit D2 Motors Official on social media. D2 Motors, come and join the power with us.
And welcome back to EKN Debrief, episode of 130. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, as we are reviewing the 2024 United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix. This show presented by Sodi Racing USA. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we are now into our Paddock Pass presented by OTK USA. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the United States, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, and EOS chassis, and now the new Gallard, Lando Norris, and Carlos Sainz brands, OTK quality is second to none. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, visit otkusa.com. Nate, the story going in, we talked about it in our outlap. It is the return of Turney, Joe Turney, the British driver, the current European Championship leader for the FIA karting program, coming back to race in the Kart Republic, aboard the Kart Republic with Trinity Karting Group this time around. His first trip back since suffering that championship or world championship injury in October of 2023. The SCUSA Pro Tour champion as well, coming back and making his first USPKS start of 2024, but more importantly, his first start in the USA in this season.
Yeah, it was really cool to have him back, and obviously the track where he wasn't able to run USPKS because he was over in Europe for that weekend, but it did seem like he had run here countless times before. Obviously, with his caliber and his skill, was able to get on pace very, very quickly for the KR driver. And yeah, really fun to see him battling up there with the likes of Austin Garrison, Ryan Norberg, Dalton Haynes, all those drivers that, like we said, going into the weekend, Trackhouse is kind of the great equalizer when it comes to tracks. Everyone turns it into a bull ring, really, and you got some really, really close battles in Pro X30 throughout the weekend. Getting to Sunday's main events, there was times where it was about a 10 to 12 kart battle for the lead. So it was cool to see him in the fight again. And obviously, we're not too sure about what the remainder of his calendar looks like over here stateside, but surely hoping for more appearances for him this year.
Yeah, we for sure know he's going to be over here for the Super Nationals in November. And it kind of just depends on how the schedule kind of lines up. I did talk to him on the weekend, and this year's doesn't really line up that well, but there is a possibility for him to come back for a couple more races prior to the Super Nationals. So again, still great to see him. And as you said, that caliber of driver, it doesn't take long for them to adapt to what's going on. And that's why he is a factory Kart Republic driver. So it's great to see him. And we'll talk more about him later in the show when we get into the race report. The new CS55 made its debut with Speed Concepts Racing on the weekend. The Carlos Sainz chassis brand that was launched at the beginning of the year has now made its way to the United States. And Speed Concepts Racing was one of the first teams here to receive them and made its debut at the USPKS. I believe it was Jackson Wolney and Cash Perkins that were running on the new chassis, which, Nate, for me, I like a black chassis frame color, and this thing looks amazing. And I think when you tie in the Speed Concepts colors that were already with it, it kind of just has a good flow to it.
Yeah, obviously not a lot to talk about in the performance side of things with all OTKs essentially being the same frame, but from the look side of things, it definitely did look good, especially with the updated graphics package that Speed Concepts brought to some of their carts. It did look very good, and nice to see another variant of OTKs for people to choose from stateside here.
Yeah, it's just something about black. Ever since I started racing, and we painted our, we were road racers, so we painted our own frames and stuff like that. And black just seemed the easiest because it hid the grease a little bit more, so it didn't look as dirty exactly when you had it going. Yeah, but there was this almost like a sparkle or glitter that they had in the black paint, so it made it brighter than what it was. So it's not a flat black; it's a really shiny black. And I'm not a big fan. I was normally not a big fan of the shiny colors, but this one looked really good. So make sure you do contact Speed Concept Racing if you are interested in getting one of those CS55 carts. The second weekend for the new MG tires at USPKS. Again, the new SH2 and SM2 tires, the red and the yellows, making its homologation year in 2024. And this is the second event for the USPKS. So kind of learning still more about the tire. And one thing we notice is that we've been seeing all year long, this red tire, this new SH2, is super grippy and producing a lot quicker lap times.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple drivers that I spoke to in the paddock essentially joking that the two tire compounds have switched for this year, that the yellows have become the reds and the reds have become the yellows. But it's been a bit interesting to see how different chassis really adapt to them. It's I think it was the KA drivers were saying that the Kart Republics were struggling a little bit to unlock the full potential of those with how much grip is built into those Kart Republics already to add a really sticky tire that is the SH2 to it. They were almost a bit too stuck throughout the weekend, where the likes of Brandon Lemke, who drove it at Route 66 a couple weekends ago on board the Merlin chassis, which was always a lot more of not as much mechanical grip built into that, said he really liked it. So it's one of those things where obviously a change this big is going to take some time for all the teams to figure out, because we had been on the old SH for quite some time, and everyone in the paddock, being as smart as they are, were able to figure out and get that tire to work for them the best way they can. So it should be interesting to see by the end of the year, once everyone gets on the same page with these tires, who will come out on top when it comes to the championship season.
Yeah, we've had the red tire pretty much all season for those categories that are utilizing the quote unquote harder tire. So we'll just say the red tire. But the yellow one, this is essentially the second weekend. Again, only the second race weekend that a lot of these drivers have been on this new SM2 tire. where I guess it's comparable to last year's, but they're saying the harder sidewall is making it different and a little bit changing, and it's not lasting as long. They noticed through the 3 heat races that essentially a lot of those guys at the end of the 3rd heat on Saturday were running out of tire. They didn't feel like there was a lot of grip there. So that's something to watch, especially when we're now going to go in the heat of the season, and the track's going to get a little bit greasy. And so Saturdays could be about tire conservation, really, in the long term. When you're looking at it for the X30 Pro category, it could be one of taking care of your tire throughout the weekend. So again, we'll try and do a graphic before we head up into Dousman for the 3rd event. But so we'll kind of take a look at qualifying times from last year and maybe even 2 years ago when we were at Trackhouse Motorplex in the month of May to kind of compare where those lap times are. So stay tuned for that, and also stay tuned as we head to our next commercial break. And after that, we'll get into our race report presented by Franklin Motorsports.
Established in 1999, PSL Karting has become a powerhouse within the karting industry for North America and around the world. PSL Karting is your complete source for all Burrell Art products as the North American importer, providing this top quality product through both their expansive dealer network or through the PSLkarting.com online store. Whatever you need is available 24/7 online, including safety gear, parts, components, and full karting packages. All 3 brands, Burrell Art, Ricardo Kart, and Charles Leclerc karts, are in stock and ready to hit the track. Grab your winning chassis for any category by visiting PSLkarting.com to find your nearest dealer. PSL Karting is always looking for interest in new dealers and teams to help create new business relationships. Drivers looking to take their talents to the next level can join the Burrell Art North America race team, competing at all the major US and Canadian events this season. When you're ready to win, go with PSL Karting. It all started in my parents' garage. That's the foundation for MPG Motorsports, which grew from a small home garage in Indiana into one of the top race teams and kart shops in the industry. A true passion for motorsports runs deep in the DNA of MPG, which has developed strong connections within karting. Now based at the Whiteland Raceway Park in central Indiana, MPG Motorsports offers a wide range of opportunities through its race team while providing a full-service kart shop as an official dealer for the Kart Republic brand. The MPG Motorsports race team is led by ownership partner and karting champion Chase Jones and provides full trackside service and driver development. Be part of the MPG program at the USPKS, Stars Championship Series, and Route 66 Sprint Series events with arrive and drive opportunities available at those programs, as well as at the Whiteland Club races this season. A new 3,500 square foot shop is now open at the Whiteland Raceway Park in Whiteland, Indiana, and is the new home of MPG Motorsports. This new headquarters will provide local and regional racers with a full-service race shop that provides a wide range of parts and supplies to racers, including the full chassis line of the Kart Republic brand. For more, head to mpg-motorsports.com and follow us on social media. Let MPG Motorsports take your motorsports career in the direction of your choice. Left without a mechanic or a crew to help you at the kart track or in the garage? Kartlift Kart Stands is your solution. The company, founded in 2003, is now owned and operated by Ted Fashing out of Cokato, Minnesota, and Ted has decades of knowledge and experience with fabrication. Kartlift takes pride in both our quality and our personal customer service that we provide on the phone or at the track. Kartlift Kart Stands can be found at racetracks all over the country. If you race alone, or if you're a parent with a cadet or junior driver, let our one-man winch lift make your race days easier. Position the hooks under the rear bumper, push the button, and your cart is raised into position, and you're ready to go. We also have kart lift stackers for storing 2 carts at once, traditional kart stands, single and double upright storage stands, tire changers, and skid plate kits. Race teams and shops can contact us about our state-of-the-art chassis straightening table. If you have an idea for a custom stand, Kartlift can build it for you. All products from Kartlift are made in the USA. Kartlift kart stands are available at many kart shops around the country, or you can order online at kartlift.com. For more information, give us a call at 877-777-8020. That's 877-777-8020. Get a Kartlift today.
And welcome back to the EKN Debrief, episode 130. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, as we are recapping the 2024 United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix. This show presented by Sodi Racing USA. We are now getting into the race report presented by Franklin Motorsports. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and they can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. They specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, and of course their championship-winning Merlin chassis. They've been supplying racers with start-to-finish support at race events for years, from providing a helping hand on a weekday test outing or at a club event, to full arrive and drive packages at the highest level of karting competition. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Nate, the first class we're going to look at is the X30 Pro presented by Rollison Performance Group, and the headline of this category is...
Sorry for a second. Tourney triumphs in return to USPKS.
Yeah, again, we talked about it going into the show or going into the weekend, and Tourney was certainly the eye. I had everybody's eye looking at him, seeing what he was doing. But really, in all honesty, it was Austin Garrison that was a driver that people were watching once we wrapped up qualifying, and he was able to put down a 47.154 lap time to be able to secure fast time in qualifying over Dalton Haynes, the last year's IAME USA Grand Nationals champion, and Joe Tourney coming back to begin his opening USPKS weekend in the third spot. Heat races certainly were hot and heavy, intense. Heat 1, we saw contact. I believe Harley Keeble was part of that. Heat 3, we saw a number of drivers getting involved in contact, one of them being Ryan Norberg himself, who Norberg just did not seem to have the pace that we saw in speed sports, and didn't even finish into the top 3 in any of the heat races, where we saw Garrison pick up 2 victories, and then Tourney being able to steal one from Garrison at the end of Saturday. So, Nate, what were you thinking after Saturday with Garrison picking up 2 wins, Tourney picking up the final one? It seemed like Garrison kind of had the field under control, with multiple drivers kind of throwing a challenge at him throughout the day.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot of Austin just having that weekend in speed sports under him. For me personally, I thought that Joe and Car Republic and all those guys under his tent would find the speed to get them to get race contending pace on Sunday, which they eventually did. Yeah, and like you said, Ryan, just the complete opposite of what he did at speed sports, with him pretty much dominating the entirety of the weekend to seemingly struggling out of nowhere. So it was interesting to see for him and the RPG Cosmic Driver, not the weekend they obviously would have wanted, finishing the weekend 5th in points now, even after a perfect weekend at speed sports. But, you know, come Sunday, the way they were driving and the way some drivers knew that they weren't able to hold on to the rear bumpers of Garrison and Tourney, intentionally backing up the field to essentially make everyone fight, was seemingly what we were going to have in the final. And it was, with the likes of, like you said, Garrison, Tourney, Dalton Haynes was up there. Brandon Lemke found something in that Merlin on Sunday as they were struggling to stay within the top 5 throughout the weekend. And a few other drivers seemed within contention for what was a very crazy final on Sunday.
Yeah, Austin Garrison led the field to the green flag. Joe Tourney on the outside of the front row. Paulie Massimino, the Brandon Arzakrak Racing entry in third. Brandon Carr fourth. So 2 Kart Republics in the top 4. under Trinity Karting Group. And then, as you said, Dalton Haynes, one of those drivers that was in contention all weekend long. Haynes was the driver that was aggressive at the beginning, trying to get to the front and trying to steal that top spot from Garrison. It was on lap 4 that we saw Haynes take over the lead prior to the hairpin. Joe Tierney decided to strike as well. And as they went through the hairpin, it was kind of a late move on Garrison, but Garrison gave him plenty of room on the inside. Unfortunately, Tierney did not do that in return on the outside as the two went wide. Garrison gave him room, was holding on to the outside as much as he could, and finally ran out of track and had to pull off the curbing onto the race surface, making a little bit of contact with Joe Tierney. Joe Tierney kind of weaved back and forth as he got loosened up by Garrison, and then kind of shot to the left. And who was there on the left? Well, it was Ryan Norberg, who was starting. Let's see, I can't remember. I think he started 9th and had worked his way up into the top 5 over those first 4 laps. And Norberg bounced up in the air. The cart and himself came down pretty hard, slid off into the grass, and just pulled the cart in after he was able to refire, but essentially taking him out of the race. The contact dropped Garrison basically nearly outside the top 10, almost down to, I believe, 8th place at that time. So kind of jumbled up the field. And as you said, kind of brought some more different people into the mix, as you said, that were just waiting. And it seemed like that was going to be the case. Something was going to happen like that, because as we saw in the heat races, there was going to be contact. And this lap 4 or lap 5 incident certainly caused that. That pretty much gave Dalton Haynes the lead, but eventually he was kind of challenged both by Brandon Lemke, Paulie Massimino, Alessandro Di Tullio. They were all right there challenging for the lead. Eventually, Tierney was able to get himself back into the chase as well, and he began picking off drivers one by one. Once he got into the lead, it was a battle for second between Dalton Haynes and Brandon Lemke. Coming into the last corner, and Haynes made a bold move into the corner, pushed wide on the exit, and unfortunately that's where the barriers were, and he made heavy contact with that, got spun backwards and was facing the opposite direction, and thankfully nobody made contact with his stranded Sodi cart that was sitting there right on the exit of the corner. So a tough break for Dalton Haynes, who was looking to bounce back after a bit of a struggle in speed sports before returning. I believe he was a top 5 finisher that weekend. No, not a top 5, but close to it. So Haynes retired, Norberg retired. Up front, Joe Tierney basically after that move had the advantage. Lemke gave him a little bit of a chase towards at the end, but came up 4/10 short, as Joe Tierney would be able to go on and score the victory ahead of Brandon Lemke. Alessandro Di Tullio in the 3rd spot on the Inter MS Kart Republic, Paulie Massimino 4th, and then Austin Garrison bouncing back into the 5th spot. Him and Massimino kind of went at it the last couple of laps, so it was a hard battle for that final, or that 4th position on the racetrack. Nate, anything else to add on kind of the recap of that race? Because it was a bit of a wild one with a lot of contact, and of course the Haynes incident.
I mean, it was a polar opposite to what we saw in speed sports, wasn't it? Where it was the entire field just found their piece of track and kind of held there. It was, I don't want to say lackluster, but not a lot of going on at speed sports. And then you come to Trackhouse and it all went off throughout the entirety of the weekend. So it was fun to see from X30. Obviously, these are the top dogs in karting in the United States. So it's really fun to see them really go at it throughout a weekend, maybe stepping over a line here and there. But hey, obviously when you're going at that speeds, that happens. But ultimately a really, really enjoyable weekend for watching X30 racing, and probably going to be a pivotal one come Newcastle Motorsports Park and then the USPKS season.
Yeah, the hard charger of the race was Harley Keeble on the Sodi Racing USA entry. moving up 8 spots, 17th to 9th. And the championship is going to be shuffled up. Obviously, Garrison with 2 solid weekends puts him in the championship lead. And that'll be the interesting part, as we're going to be counting all 5 rounds. So every session, every lap matters in 2024 for the United States Pro Kart Series. So again, more on that when we get to our next event. And up next is the KA100 Senior, presented by Brandon Jarzakrak Racing. And the headline is
Massimino defends home turf.
Yeah, that was something, and getting into kind of what we saw in X30 Pro. A lot of people know this racetrack, and I think that's why we saw a lot more action, a lot more aggressiveness. People know how to race this racetrack, and they know where certain spots are good and are better than others, or are able to take a little bit of a chance. Paulie Massimino knows this racetrack. He's been racing here since it opened, essentially, and was probably one of the drivers that was everybody keeping an eye on in K100 Senior, as he was doing double duty action on the weekend. But qualifying, Steven Eisert, Sodi Racing USA driver, got his first success with the brand, picking up the fast time in qualifying at 49.354, ahead of Christian Miles and Oliver Calvo. So ironically, two West Coasters getting that fast time in qualifying, which again, you never know what's going to happen with the 5-lap session. Some people might be able to get a draft or have that perfect rabbit in order to get that fast lap. So Eisert was the top driver after qualifying, but wasn't able to translate that into success in the heat races. That's where we saw Paulie Massimino pick up 2 victories. He picked up a win in Heat 1 and Heat 3. His teammate James Overback won in Heat 2, so Brandon Jarzakrak Racing drivers were able to pick up 3 heat wins out of the 6. The other drivers to score wins was AJ Myers, another now home driver for Trackhouse Motorplex, as he lives there. Cameron Weinberg and Luke Welcome. Not really a surprise, because he's been fast in this category, but just was able to make everything work in the second heat in the 3rd round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different drivers picking up wins in the 6 heat races. Of course, 2 heat wins to Massimino put him on the pole position. And it was Brandon Jarzakrak Racing front row with James Overback sitting on the outside. AJ Myers and Weinberg were in row 3, and then Oliver Calvo starting from P5. Nate, this race essentially was a lot of shuffling in the beginning part. I think Myers got pushed back, as well as Calvo, as a number of drivers outside the top 5 were trying to make their way forward in the early laps.
Yeah, it's kind of the way K100 racing goes nowadays. A lot of shuffling for position in the first couple of laps, and then everyone kind of finds their place, gets into their rhythm for the mid part of the race. And the final 3 or 4 laps, it all breaks loose. And pretty much what we saw throughout the entirety of the weekend, especially the final, just having to keep your head down, not getting too frustrated with what's going on in those opening couple of laps, and just have to be there in the end. And like we saw in the other senior category of X30, a lot of top drivers competing this weekend, and a lot of them fighting for the win in those final couple of laps. And like the headline said, Massimino defending home turf there in North Carolina and doing quite well in North Carolina races, obviously with him winning OKN Stars for the Stars Championship Series when they went to Charlotte Motor Speedway, and now get another win at a major U.S. race at US PCAS and Trackhouse. It's been a very good start for Paulie for 2024.
Yeah, the front of the field, like I've said, got shuffled up. It was Cooper Shipman and Christian Miles. Miles starting 6th, Shipman 7th. They were able to move their way up forward and join Massimino and Overback out the front of the field. And essentially all 4 drivers led at one time. But eventually Massimino was able to get to the lead late as he passed James Overback for the position into turn 1 with 2 laps to go. That essentially put Overback slipping back as another group of pack, as the leaders were racing, shuffling position. A second group joined in and made it essentially 8 to 9 drivers fighting for the win there at the end. But that moved for Massimino to the front, shuffled Overback back back to outside the top 5. And that was a winning move. Massimino was able to hold on through the remainder of the closing laps and went on to score the victory, holding off a charging Christian Miles by 71 thousandths of a second at the line. So, as you said, a victory for Massimino in Charlotte and another one at Trackhouse Motorplex. Miles on the TB Kart finishing second ahead of Cameron Weinberg. He was one of those drivers that came up from the second pack that was able to make some moves late. He brought in Jesus Vasquez Jr. on the GFC to finish fourth, while Cooper Shipman, coming into the weekend as the championship leader, was able to end up fifth on the podium. So a good kind of points day for him as he retains the championship lead following the weekend. So a good trip for Shipman, where he really wasn't talked about that much all weekend long until the main event. So kind of being the consistent driver right now to be the championship leader. Nate, the hard charger was.
Yeah, hard charger going the way of Jesus Vasquez Jr. 14 spots for him from 18th all the way to the podium position of 4th for the GFC driver.
Yeah, that's a big jump. Again, GFCs were fast. Again, just didn't have the luck. Jake Drew was kind of there all weekend, and so was Jesus Vasquez Jr. But a 4th place best finish for them as they leave Trackhouse to head back to the West Coast. With that, we'll head into our next commercial break, and when we return, we'll get into the X30 Junior and K100 Junior in our race report presented by Franklin Motorsports.
Is IndyCar your dream? If it is, for 2024 and beyond, the path from karting to IndyCar has gotten even clearer. It's time to look into the new USF Juniors program and the Tatis JR23. As a first step of the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tires, the USF Junior Series will feature a 6-event, 13-race schedule to train racers for the move into the USF 2000 Championship presented by Continental Tires. 3 of the events in 2024 will run alongside IndyCar at Mid-Ohio, Road America, and Portland. The champion will win a scholarship worth over $263,000, and there's a total prize fund that will exceed $330,000. The series utilizes the state-of-the-art Tatis JR23 race car, which is a development version of the USF 22 used in USF 2000. It's the ideal entry point for career-minded karters moving into the car racing ladder. Safety is always front and center in the minds of the series promoters, and the new USF Juniors car also features the Halo, and races are supported by members of the AMR IndyCar safety team. If IndyCar is your goal, USF Juniors is the starting line. For more information, visit www.usfjuniors.com and follow USF Juniors on social media. Check out any major national karting event, and what's the common thread? Speed Concepts Racing. Up front, in every class, every weekend. The Speed family has been at the forefront of American karting for over 25 years, and Speed Concepts Racing is the sole dedication of Father Mike Speed and his multi-time championship-winning son Alex Speed. This program is all about passion for the sport and a dedication to winning. They know how to get it done. If you're a senior driver ready to put yourself amongst the best in the country, Speed Concepts Racing is the program for you. We can win the big races. You just need to be in the seat. The Speeds program has delivered time over time in the junior classes as well, helping to elevate a long list of young drivers from mid-pack to potential race winners. Speed Concepts Racing has the perfect equation of coaching, driver development, and technical knowledge to elevate your program. Arrive and drive opportunities are available for the remainder of the 2023 season, and we're locking in seats for 2024 as well. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, contact Speed Concepts Racing through email at speedconceptsracing@gmail.com. Cometic Gasket is a leading worldwide supplier of gaskets and engine sealing solutions for karting, automotive performance, power sports, original equipment, and the remanufactured engine industries. Cometic karting gaskets are available as OE replacement top-end kits or as individual gaskets and seals. Just like competitive karters, Cometic can operate on the fly and has the unique capability to customize any gasket to meet specific engine requirements and clearances. All of Cometic's fiber materials are asbestos-free and do not require any additional sealants. Viton oil ring cylinder head seals are used in each 2-cycle kit, and Cometic's 4-cycle engine kits feature only the most advanced multi-layer steel head gaskets. Cometic can tailor to engine builder-specific needs through bulk ordering and packaging flexibility. Cometic gaskets are must-haves for championship-winning teams across multiple disciplines of both professional and amateur motorsports. Cometic gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
And welcome back to the EKN Debrief. It is episode 130 on Wednesday, May 22nd. We are recapping the United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix from the Trackhouse Motorplex, and this show presented by Sodi Racing USA. We're into our second segment of the race report presented by Franklin Motorsports, and up next is the X30 Junior presented by Speed Concepts Racing, and the headline is
Vidmontien earns first in USPKS.
Yeah, Enzo Vidmontien, the one of probably the more experienced junior drivers that is racing in 2024, has been among the contenders in this category over the last 3 years, but in the USPKS competition, not won a X30 Junior main event. One driver who had not won a USPKS race, Ty Fisher, he ended up coming out of qualifying as the fastest driver with a 48.240, ahead of Turner Brown and Victor D'Alencar, the two RPG drivers. Again, heat racing, pretty active. I believe Carter McMurray was able to score a last lap victory in the opening heat race, as he got ahead of Turner Brown and Enzo Vidmontien. Second heat and third heat were Turner Brown. As what we saw in Speed Sports, Turner Brown was able to nearly pull a sweep off there until losing out in the main event. But here, picking up 2 heat wins, the second and third, the first over Vidmontien, the second over Ty Fisher. This put Turner Brown on the pole position for the main event alongside Davin Roberts, the RPM driver. McMurray starting from third, Vidmontien in fourth, and Victor D'Alencar in the fifth position. So Vidmontien was kind of there all weekend long, just not really, kind of putting himself at the front, led a couple of times during the heat races. But it wasn't until the main event where we saw, again, all the heat races, all the main events, a lot of shuffling going on in the opening laps. And that's what it was. I think probably 4 or 5 different drivers led at one time, if I recall correctly. But it wasn't until lap 9 when Turner Brown essentially secured the position. And then essentially from there was able to run away as they kept fighting behind him. Brown was able to drive away, gaining real estate over Vidmontien, who ended up being in the second spot. And that's how they would cross the line. Unfortunately for Brown, a pushback bumper penalty took away the victory, dropping him down to the second spot with the 3-second penalty, promoting Enzo Vidmontien to the top of the podium for his first USPKS victory. So, Nate, this was, like I said, crazy early, but in the end, it kind of settled down, but penalties deciding who came out the victor.
Yeah, for a class that, like we said, saw a bit of a uprising in terms of numbers. Nice to see from that. And obviously, the racing showed with a lot of top talent coming out for Trackhouse. McMurray was definitely one that we both had an eye on, but with him not really running on the national level all that often, it was kind of interesting to see how he would do. He usually makes an appearance for CKNA Spring Nationals and not much else. So for him to come to USPKS and run up there with the likes of Turner Brown and Enzo Vidmontien, all the top drivers in junior racing right now, was a really, really impressive performance from the Timmy Tech Comp Kart driver, but how about it from Enzo Vidmontien, who just seems since Speed Sports really and showed the pace throughout the winter series, but has seemed so unstoppable in junior categories, especially in the KA 100 junior stuff that we'll get to in a little bit. But really cool for him to get maiden win in PKS in the X30 junior category.
Yeah, so Vidmontien first, Turner Brown second, Carter McMurray on the Comp Kart in third, Diego Ardiles, the Speed Sports winner, in the fourth position, and Alexander Vanchev making his Sodi Kart debut with Sodi Racing USA, finishing in the fifth spot. And the hard charger of the race, Nate, was
Sarah Bradley for Speed Concepts. Excuse me. I get those two mixed up all the time, especially when tagging people on social media. Anyway, Sarah Bradley, Speed Concepts Racing on her Gillard chassis, making up 14th spots, starting 31st on the field all the way up to 17th.
Yeah, just a tough weekend to begin, tough qualifying, and wasn't able to do well in the heat races, but certainly showed well in the main event, moving up those 14 positions. Now we move into the KA100 Junior presented by BBS Racing, and the headline in this category is
3 straight for Vidmontien.
Yeah, Vidmontien, as we talked about, the more experienced driver in the junior category and coming in as a 2-time winner in the KA100 junior category. So certainly had the momentum on his side in terms of that and leading the championship in this category. But it was Diego Ardiles and RPG that set fast time in qualifying at 49.889 alongside Turner Brown, running second quickest in the session. And then Charlie Smith, the Nash Motorsports EOS driver, finishing in third. And with the big group, they obviously had this split up into heat groups. And in the opening round, it was Turner Brown and Carter McMurray scoring wins. And then it was Enzo Vidmontien and McMurray finishing first in the second round of heat races. In the third round, Diego Ardiles and Turner Brown were able to pick up wins. So that gave Brown and McMurray 2 wins, with Vidmontien and Ardiles each picking up 1. McMurray, however, had a tough finish in the third round of heat races. So he didn't finish or start in the top 5, as that was led by Turner Brown and Diego Ardiles to fill out the front row for the main event, with Charlie Smith in third, Sebastian Garzon in fourth, and then Devin Roberts starting in the fifth position. Very much like the X30 Junior, this race was first on track, however, and this was a bit of a wild one in the opening first 9 laps. A lot of shuffling for position. I think at one time it was a smaller group in the lead, and then it bunched back up into a larger group, and a lot of different drivers trying to show the way and trying to lead the race at the first half of the race. Vidmontien, go ahead.
No, just gonna add to that with, I mean, it's what we come to expect really from K100 Junior Racing, of just a huge pack with some massive talent in it, like you said, with Enzo Vidmontien, Diego Ardiles, Turner Brown, those two. Kind of struggling on Sunday, the 2 Rolson Performance Group drivers, not really getting the results they would have wanted, especially in the end. They seem to just fall back throughout the race and just not have the luck they would have wanted for them. But Charlie Smith was definitely one of those drivers that really impressed me throughout the weekend. Sebastian Garzon has been impressive since his almost win in KA Junior at Supernats last year. He's been there or thereabouts since then and always been quick throughout the weekend. Devin Roberts is someone that's at least new to my radar. Really came onto it a couple weekends ago at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Stars Championship Series in OKN Junior when he was up there battling for the lead. So really, really fun to see a lot of these drivers back at it again, especially at, like we said, the bull ring that is Trackhouse. And also like Nathan Dupuis, who hasn't had the luck he would have wanted in the early starts of this 2024 season. He's been trying to get on to the top 5 or that podium for a while now, and obviously getting that in the final. And Jackson Woolney, too, who is doing a split senior and junior season for him. A very impressive weekend for his CS55 Speed Concepts Racing driver as well.
Yeah, Vidmontien essentially was leading the second half of the race. He did get challenged. Ardiles came back and took back the lead, but jostling for position between him and Turner Brown, it was through the S's, which is a unique place to pass. And I think people are trying to emulate Dalton Haynes in his pass that he did to Joe Turney. I really do. I think that's what it was. Everybody's trying to hype up the crowd and make an intense move. And I'm like, all it did, and I forgot who it was. If it was Ardiles that did it to Brown or Brown did it to Ardiles, it essentially took the two drivers out of the win and off the podium because they fell back after it. That essentially gave Vidmontien the clean run to the checkered flag, as he would go on to earn his second or third straight victory, his second of the year, to put himself in the championship lead even further. Carter McMurray was sensational on that last lap. I think he made an outside move around the double lefts and was able to hold on and come through to score the runner-up position on the comp cart ahead of Charlie Smith. And you talked about Nathan Dupuis and Jackson Wolney. They were former teammates at Speed and Scott Summit Racing. Dupuis on the Super Tune USA entry finishing fourth, and Jackson Wolney on the new CS55 finishing in the fifth position. So again, yeah, it was a pretty wild one there, beginning and at the end. When we talk about finishing positions, you got Turner Brown down in the 10th position and Ardiles down in 14th. And I want to say pushback bumper penalties were part of that for sure. And also other penalties as well too. So again, you had essentially the top 10 finishing all within 4 seconds of each other. So a big group there at the end, battling for position. Nate, the hard charger of the race was?
It would be Luis Fernunez on his Tony Kart, making up 25 spots, the most of anyone in the main events on Sunday, starting 40th on the field and making his way all the way up into 15th at the end.
Excellent job for him. Again, just going through, not having to do the B main, but starting towards the back and making his way up over half of the field. So a good result for him. When we return, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll have the final segment of the EKN Race Report presented by Franklin Motorsports. We'll get into KA100 Masters, Mini Swift, and Micro Swift.
There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment: Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. The ST5 KRT karting helmet is available for $599. Manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material, the KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for the younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision. The perfect youth helmet is available for $549. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva Rib Protector is unlike any on the market, with its form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these and many more products to keep you safe on the track. Stilo. Any competition, one helmet. As the winningest Briggs 206 team in the United States in 2023, Precision Performance Karting wants to get you to victory lane in 2024. As the factory team for Coyote Motorsports, Precision Performance Karting won the biggest 4-cycle races of the year, including Senior Light, Medium, and Heavy at the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals 7, and winning an iconic Duffy at the IKF Sprint Grand Nationals in Texas. We also traveled north of the border to dominate the Cup Karts Canada finale in Goodwood, beating Canada's best Briggs racers. Our total focus is on winning, and we simply get the job done. Join our team, and we can help you win too. We have several levels of support available for 2024, from full-service arrive and drive programs to tent-only options. Our championship-winning PPK-prepared Coyote Zenith carts are ready to power you to great results. Join our team today. To become a PPK driver or to learn more, contact John Seglum at ppkartingfl@gmail.com or check us out online at ppkkartingfl.com.
Wins in the sport's biggest races and championships in national and regional series all over the country, they're all on Nitro Kart's growing resume. Nitro Kart continues to make its statement as the best, fastest, and winningest cadet chassis on the American market. In 2021, Nitro Kart won the 3 biggest crowns in America in the Micro Swift division, with Mateo, Rosu in the SCUSA Pro Tour, and both the Super Nationals and the USPKS titles with Keelan Harvick. At the Super Nats alone, 3 of the top 5 drivers on the podium got there on a Nitro Kart. The results are clear. If you want to win in cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join our team. At Nitro Kart, we're all about driver development. Nick Tucker and the Nitro Crew's racing resumes are extensive, and their passion for helping our kids learn is unparalleled. Racing is about consistent learning, and that's what we're all about here at Nitro Kart. Never wanting to quit, we've continued to extend the reach of our driver development program. In addition to expanding into the junior and senior karting categories, we've also launched Nitro Motorsports, which will field 2 cars this season in the Trans Am by Pirelli series, one being piloted by karting champion Brent Cruz. Not only can we develop your young driver, but we can also provide the platform if a move to cars is in your plan. And our second seat is available. If you're serious about your driver's career, contact us today.
And welcome back to the final race report segment of the EKN Debrief. It is episode 130, Wednesday, May 22nd. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean. We are recapping the United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix. This show is presented by Sodi Racing USA. We are now into K100 Masters, presented by Nash Motorsports. And Nate, the headline is...
Pappas holds on to victory.
Yeah, Max Pappas, a regular fixture at the Trackhouse Motorplex and in motorsports in general, decided to put the helmet on as his son is racing in the junior category, K100 Junior Division. He decided to strap on the helmet and race in the Masters Division. We've seen him in this category a number of times before, so this was no shocker as the, 58 or 57-year-old took part in the category. And came out with fast lap in qualifying at 50.574 to beat out Laurentiu Mardan, the former series champion, and Martin Stone for fast time. Pappas, however, did not make it past to the green flag in the opening heat race, pulling off with a mechanical issue. That gave Mardan the win in the opening heat race ahead of Nicky Coella and Martin Stone. But Pappas returned in the final 2 heat races to score wins there, as he would start on the outside of the front row with Laurentiu Mardan starting on the pole position. The main event was a top 4 battle. You had Pappas, Mardan, Stone, and Coella battling lap after lap, and essentially all 4 led at one time. It was a good little race, but Pappas didn't lead until the very end. Eventually, he worked his way past all the 3 drivers that were in the hunt. And got to the lead, and Nicky Coella put himself in second and essentially was his wingman. I think he kept telling Pappas to go, go, go. I just want to finish. And as Pappas would go on to lead the final few laps and score a United States Pro Kart Series victory, edging out Nicky Coella by 77 thousandths of a second. Martin Stone winning the battle for third ahead of Laurentiu Mardan, while Ryan Kastner on the Maranello rounded out the top 5. So it was an interesting finish to not see Coella go after Pappas, but maybe he was just thinking points, and he's like, hey, I'm number 1 and in terms of points drivers in this race right now.
Yeah, and obviously he had a really good run at Speed Sports as well. So I believe he's, like you said, top of the point standings going into a home race for him at Millwright Raceway. So you have to think Coella will probably be a favorite to extend that points lead once we get to round 3. But For Masters racing, it was a really good final, to be honest, there with those four going at it throughout most of it. It was very, very fun to watch, and obviously really cool to have Max Pappas in the USPCast paddock again, and him running at his home track to see really a great of motorsport running with us this weekend was a real treat for everyone on site.
Yeah, he took advantage of the skill line interview to talk to it directly. So that was pretty cool. I love it when drivers show emotion, and there's no lack of emotion when it comes to Max Pappas. That's the great thing about him. I love it. And so yeah, that was it was, for having the low numbers, it was still a great race. And these guys, it was game of chess. I think they were all setting up to see who could be the best in the main event. So again, as you said, it'll be good to watch this category continue on as we get into Millwright Raceway, where we should see a number of locals competing at the event. So with that, we'll head into Mini Swift presented by Sodi Racing USA, and the headline is
Mini Swift will be home victory for Ives.
Yeah, Parker Ives, the Mini Swift rookie coming off last year's Micro Swift Championship, was able to set fast time in qualifying, a 52.473 ahead of fellow Trackhouse Motorplex driver Bowen Green and Ashton Woon. So you had three regulars in the top three in qualifying. Heat race time, Ives was able to score the opening heat race win, while Woon picked up the win in heat 2. And then it was John McClellan, the driver from California, that was able to score a race win in heat number 3. So kind of mixed things up. So we had three different drivers picking up heat race wins. And as the points were tallied, it was Ives and Ashton Woon on the front row for the main event, with Green and Royce Vega in row 2. That was how they were going to start the race. And the race ended up starting with a little bit of contact at the start, with nothing, not that we wouldn't expect that, with the unique characteristics of turns 1 and 2, Nate, at Trackhouse Motorplex. I don't think racers are a big fan of that section. I think if you were to poll karting, I think those two corners would probably be the most unliked corners. Would you agree with that?
I would tend to agree with that. I think hot lapping it and doing qualifying laps around it, it's definitely a unique challenge. And personally, I'm fine with it. It's just when you're in the middle of a pack going through there on lap 1, it can be a bit of a nuisance sometimes. And obviously with everyone jostling for position and then having to do that, it's a bit awkward of a dodge to the right and the left, and having a massive straightaway kind of creates a bit of chaos no matter what class you're running there. So yeah, I tend to agree with you. Most drivers would probably want a redesign of that corner, but ultimately it makes Trackhouse what it is. It's a unique challenge that we don't usually get. So I'm all for it on that perspective.
So yeah, there were contact in the opening part of the lap, and the driver that was victim was Ashton Woon. He got shuffled back to, I want to say, 18th at the end of the opening lap. So a tough one for Woon, the Speed Sports race winner. This essentially allowed Parker Ives and Bowen Green to run 1-2. Green was on the bumper of Ives the entire distance, never really making a move. Kind of looked at it the last couple of laps, but didn't force anything, as Parker Ives was able to go and complete a wire-to-wire victory in the Mini Swift category for his first in the class. Green finishing second, Royce Vega picking up the third spot on his Bennick, alongside fellow Bennick driver Troy Ferguson in fourth. And I don't know how to say what was his first name again? Finishing fifth there, Callan Berghofer. Callan Berghofer on the Energy, another local driver, finishing in the fifth spot. So you got three local drivers in the top 5 to wrap up the Mini Swift category. Nate, any other notes on the category aside from the hard charger you can tell us?
Yeah, not really. Apart from Hard Charger, who was Grayson Walcott on board his Paralyn, making up 17 spots in the final after having a bit of troubles throughout the weekend on, like we said, a bit of a tricky turn 1, 2, and 3 complex at Trackhouse, but making up 17 spots from 33rd to get almost inside the top 15, finishing 16th in the main event.
Yeah, good run for him. Ashton Moon got up to 9th, so that'll certainly shuffle up the championship chase as he'll possibly lose. Still have the championship lead, but it'll tighten up things with the rest of the drivers. So not exactly the result Woon wanted to have coming off his first win at Speed Sports. So now we head into the Micro Swift presented by Team Ferris Racing, and the headline is
Burgess claims a career first.
Yeah, something we saw a lot this winter was Zane Burgess winning Supercarts USA Winter Series and other events throughout the opening months of the calendar. Was seeing his 55 Sodi Kart at the front of the field. At the front of the time sheet in qualifying was Speed Sports winner Miguel Suarez. The 53.569 was quickest in the session, ahead of Jake Malinello and Cameron Johnson on the Fast 3 for the Micro Swift qualifying session. Malinello and Burgess and Parker Stewart were the 3 different heat race winners. So it was a good battling throughout the heat races. I want to say in the last heat race, and Nate, you could probably back me up on this, I think we had Suarez and Burgess come together in a battle for the win on the final lap in Heat 3. So that essentially kind of shuffled up the grid order, because they were expected to finish 1-2, and then the contact in the penultimate corner between the two dropped them out of the top 5 and possibly out of the top 10. I can't remember where they ended up finishing in that third heat, but produced 3 different heat race winners. And Cameron Johnson, the more consistent driver out of all the 3 heat races, was able to score the pole position for the main event with Parker Stewart on the front row.
Yeah, Cameron Johnson has been one of those drivers that has been, thereabouts and really improving upon themselves throughout the entirety of 2024, really becoming a much, much better driver. Not to say that he wasn't already a good driver, just getting to that national caliber, being able to be in that top 5 fight for him is obviously super impressive. And then the sit on pole for Sunday's final, not really able to convert that after getting shuffled back throughout the opening couple of laps and having some issues with getting essentially temperature in the tires from what we saw. But the battle up front in Heat 3 and really throughout the weekend between Suarez and Burgess was obviously a really fun one to watch between those two, and good for Zane to get a first career, the national, that's not a winter series win for him under his belt. It seeming like it's been a while for him since he's been on the top step, but good for him and his championship hopes.
Yeah, so the race started with, as we said, Johnson leading the field to the green flag. Jaden Francisco starting 3rd, Zane Burgess 4th, and Easton Kubinski in the 5th spot. Suarez was actually starting in 12th, so he had a bad 3rd heat race result, so wasn't able to rejoin the field quickly and fell down the starting order for the main event. And we saw a number of drivers battling up front early, including Francisco and Stewart. Unfortunately for them, on lap 5, both spun on the entry nearly at the apex of the hairpin corner. So essentially taking both of those drivers out of contention. And as that happened, this allowed Zane Burgess and Santiago Orioli, who started back in the 6th position, an opportunity to kind of get away from the rest of the field. So essentially the main event was a 2-driver battle. Orioli pretty much led the majority of the race, but Zane Burgess was able to get around him and then hold on through the final couple of laps and last couple of corners to be able to score, as you said, his first USPKS victory by just under 0.2 of a second over the MPG Kart Republic of Santiago Orioli. Easton Kubinski was running third and was battling with Jake I can never say it. Manello. This is why I don't announce it, Nate. So they were battling, but Malinello lost his side pod, so he was meatball flagged off of the racetrack and unfortunately lost a possible podium finish for him. So that allowed Kubinski to drive away to the third spot unchallenged as Cameron Johnson battled back up into the fourth spot ahead of Win Gottschalk on the Benix. So Burgess, Orlioli, Kubinski, Johnson, and Gottschalk, your top five. And the hard charger of the race was...
Hard charger of the race going to Dutch Westbrook. 16 spots for him. 27th, he started in the main event, moving his way all the way up, almost into the top 10, finishing 11th in the final.
So that wraps up our race report, and we'll head into our final commercial break. When we return, we'll do a little bit of a wrap-up, Constructors Championship, and look at our EKN trackside race calendar.
It's back. The park is back. The Quincy Grand Prix has produced many legends of the sport. Trader, Evans, Pruitt, Haddock, and McMurray, to name but a few. After being absent from the karting calendar in 2023, the Quincy Grand Prix is set for a return in 2024 and will be held over the June 8 to 9 weekend. First held in 1970, the 35th edition of the Quincy Grand Prix is set to tackle the beautiful 1.2-mile circuit that is laid out inside the South Park of Quincy, Illinois. Every inch of the course will be lined by over 10,000 spectators who will flock to the park to take in 2 days of racing, featuring categories for Vintage, Briggs 206, Ignite, 100cc 2-cycle, and shifter carts. Several special activities will take place over the weekend, both on and off the track, with karting as the headline show. 7 main events will take place on Saturday, with 15 races on Sunday, including the 3 pro categories that will pay out $1,000 to the winner. Registration is now open, so don't wait and enter now at QuincyGrandPrix.com and become legendary. We'll see you at the park. It all started in 1994, when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years, and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Since 1933, DID has been designing and manufacturing high-quality chains that are chosen and utilized by the world's best power sports athletes and is the winningest chain brand in the industry. From the hairpin turns of MotoGP to the local circle track and everywhere in between, DID has a chain offering for all level of power sports, and they are designed to outlast and outperform the competition. DID's kart chain lineup offers variations of chains, from high-performance sealed chains to the industry-leading non-sealed 219 HTZ chain. The DID SDH pin treatment is the unique design that allows for a lighter chain for less rotational mass, yet still keeping a high tensile strength for peak performance. DID also offers various levels of 4-pitch and 5-pitch chains to fit your drive chain needs. With over 90 years of experience, stay driven with DID.
And welcome back to our final segment of the EKN Debrief, episode 130. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, as we wrap up our podcast covering the United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix. And this show presented by Sodi Racing USA. Well, let's kind of just wrap up the event itself. We did have multiple red flags on the weekend, so not a completely clean weekend for USPKS, but thankfully all drivers are able to be checked out and without any major injuries occurring to them. But Nate, I think that kind of the headline of the weekend was intense racing all weekend. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and that kind of goes a little hand in hand with all the red flags and like what we were talking about at the start of the show. Obviously, a lot of people have driven this track and they know it like the back of their hand. A lot of the drivers in the paddock this weekend call it home, so adding that to that even more. So when you get the likes of like K100s out there that essentially race like 206 nowadays with a grippier tire and a track that a lot of people know, it's obviously going to cause some very close racing, especially in a season where every single race matters. You don't have a drop, so you can add that to the pressure to why it was so close and intense racing. But for apart from when we stepped over the lines a bit too much and those red flags did throw, it was a weekend of really entertaining on-track action.
Yeah, speaking of championship, there was a lot of shakeups in it. Some different drivers now leading the way. Some drivers extending or losing ground in the chase. So again, we'll be kind of keeping an eye on that as we move along on the schedule. The Constructors Championship, 5 different brands for the 7 different wins on the weekend, and it was Kart Republic picking up 3. Nate, Joe Turney, and Enzo Vidmontien picking up 2. So they were the only brand to pick up multiple wins on the weekend.
Yeah, a little bit surprising there, but obviously Kart Republics always go well here at Trackhouse for the KR brand. Other manufacturers getting wins, LN Kart and Tony Kart, so you can put 2 there for the OTK chassis. Nitro Kart getting a win with Parker Ives, and then Sodi Kart getting 1 win as well with Zane Burgess and Micro.
And now we head into our EKN trackside race calendar presented by Parolin USA. It all started in 1994 when former kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and they run a factory team at all the major Superkarts USA, USPKS, and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup includes the Invader shifter, the Le Mans tagged single-speed chassis for junior and senior drivers, the 28mm Opportunity model for the cadet classes, and the Daytona 4-cycle chassis. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to parolinusa.com. So Nate, up next on our EKN race calendar, trackside race calendar, is the Superkarts USA Pro Tour Spring Nationals, which will make its debut visit to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati in Batavia, Ohio on June 14th through the 16th. So Father's Day weekend, a big one scheduled in the southwest part of Ohio.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to SCUSA's first venture into MCC of Cincinnati. Obviously, a lot of other series have run there in the time that it's been open with USPKS, Cup Karts North America, Route 66. And now SCUSA heading there for the first time. Should be very interesting to see how things go down there. If USPKS and Stars and those series, how they've had some very, very fun and close action there. It should be a fun weekend for their first visit.
Yeah, it should be a good one for sure. I'm looking forward to heading down there and providing coverage all weekend long on Father's Day weekend. 2 weeks after that, we will be heading to the third stop for the United States Pro Kart Series as it goes to the Wisconsin Grand Prix at the Millwright Raceway in Dousman, Wisconsin, the home of the Badger Kart Club. So June 20, the final weekend in June 28th through the 30th. We will be at Dousman Wisconsin, the cheese state, the Badger state, however you want to call it. Nate, it's been, I think we had 2 USPCast races, maybe just the one. I always forget this. I got to remember this now when we write up the preview. I know we were there the opening year in 2013, but I don't think we went back. I think it was more WK races that we attended there. So it's been a long time since USPCast has been there. It's been a long time since I think Badger Kart Club has had a possible big event like this. And I think there's one thing we know: there's plenty of room for parking there.
Oh yeah, we shouldn't have any concerns on that front, but I think it's just they've only ran there once in the first or second year. I think that was the consensus when we were at Trackhouse. But yeah, it will be really fun to see them go back to Mill Raceway, and like we said, the Wisconsin races for them always did very well and within contingent. The Midwest contingent always out in full force for those races. So really good to see the USPCast back at Millwright.
Yeah, it's a very old school track. For some of the drivers who have been part of USPCast, it's basically a flat MRP. If you want to look at that, now no elevation, no banking, a flat racetrack, and I think that's something that's going to be new to a lot of these competitors. Obviously, the cadet divisions, junior divisions, none of them, unless they're in the Midwest region, have ever even seen this racetrack. So that'll be an interesting part. I like the dynamic of going to a different place every year. We don't have to keep going to the same racetracks, mix it up some. And I love that USPCast is doing that. And, we'll see. I got to believe with it being the month of June, we're going to see a number of Wisconsin, probably some Minnesota drivers, a lot of Illinois drivers, all making their way to the home of Badger Kart Club to try and put themselves at the front of a field at USPKS. So very excited for that weekend. So just over a month away before we do head there. So a lot of planning to take place, and a lot to and a lot of time to anticipate what will be an exciting weekend in Wisconsin. So. Nate, any final words as we wrap up our show?
No, just looking forward to the next round of USPCast at Dousman. I mean, the races I've been there at WK and Route 66 always provide really close and exciting racing. So obviously in those 2-cycle classes, and then to see X30 back at Dousman with a full field of some of the top drivers in the nation will be a fun one.
It should be a good one. Can't wait. So with that, we'll wrap up our EKN Debrief, episode 130, as we conclude the United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix. So for Nate Dean, I'm David Cole. Thank you for listening.